Hello, everybody. We're here in a world where there's one club that can be the winner. There was two in North London, and there was always a rivalry between Spurs and Arsenal. It started back when they said that Arsenal took their spot for promotion when they shouldn't have been. But at that time, Spurs were still nothing, and Arsenal were the best. In all time, we have Arsenal who've won 82 out of 199 games played, where you have Tottenham who've won 64 out of 199 games played. Draws, where they both come stalemate, you have 53. And always, Arsenal comes on top. This is an Arsenal channel, so we are a little biased. So I'm going to cut it down, cut it a little short, and say it like this. The Gunners, the club that helped the army with artillery, to the other club who has, what is it? Should I say the word, guys? It's a cock. Their logo is a cock. Don't mix it up with the Nando's logo, because it's not. It's a cock. And it's called the cockerel. So when you're comparing logos, you got the gun, and then you got the cock. So I'm just gonna leave it there. That's the intro. That's the intro for everybody. Nice to meet you guys. We're here. We're talking about Arsenal versus Tottenham. The rivalry. Are they still in the shadow? Have Tottenham caught up to Arsenal? What everybody thinks. What everyone's going on with. What everyone thinks. We are currently live, and I got two guests here with me so far, and we have a third guest that's supposed to step in at any time. Simon, Lester, how are you going?
Hi everyone. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, and then we got Melvin here. Melvin, how are you doing?
Not too bad, thanks, considering. No, everything's fine, thank you.
Yeah, so we did a little intro there talking about the two clubs and how they compare statistically in the past and in the present. Let me tell you guys, the first game they ever played was in 1909.
I'll win.
Wow.
No.
Yeah. Let me tell you guys a little bit about the biggest win in Arsenal history was in 1935. And it was a 6-0 win, right?
We've beaten them 5-0 since, and they've beaten us 5-0 since.
Yeah.
They beat us 5-0 in 82.
I was there as well when they beat us, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I went.
Oh, man. You were there in the 35 also?
No, but we beat them in 70 something or other. Since 78, we beat them 5-0, and I wasn't at that game.
Yeah.
I was flying in the air. I don't know why I booked a holiday over that game, but I did. And years ago, you never had internet or nothing. I didn't know the score until the next day. They couldn't get the score from anyone for the next day.
Do you guys
used to buy the paper the next day that was out of date, Melvin. Is that right?
That's right. And pay through the nose for it and all.
Oh, wow. Guys, tell me anything interesting, very interesting story that you might have about Tottenham versus Arsenal that most people won't know that are younger viewers.
Well, the first game I can remember was that 1978 fight. I think it was 78. If it wasn't 78, it was 77. But I think it was 78. And that was 5-0 at White Hart Lane. And that was an Alan Sunderland hat-trick, a Frank Stapleton diving header at the far post, and a Liam Brady goal that is still played an awful lot to this day. So that really is the first sort of Spurs Arsenal game I can remember. I've probably been over the years to maybe 25 derbies, including FA Cup semi-finals, League Cup semi-finals, and there's always a great atmosphere there. As in any derby, if you're playing your nearest rivals, especially if they're both in the same league, which I know Spurs dropped out of the old First Division for a while, but predominantly they've been a top flight side. So the atmosphere is always good. There's always a massive plus if you win at the end of it, and if you come away having lost, you're sort of gutted, knowing that you're probably going to have to wait 4 or 5 months before you can get your revenge. But great games, great memories. A few bad ones, but I've been lucky enough that I've got more good memories than bad ones down the years.
Yeah. My father always used to say, especially if we played early season against Tottenham, he says the colours of the pitch, green, with the red and white of Arsenal and the dark blue and white of Spurs. He said it was just a visual thing of it to start with before the atmosphere get going. He says was fantastic, and he was right. It was a special game. It was in years ago we weren't that successful, and so really playing Spurs was our cup final. 2 cup finals a year we had, Spurs home and Spurs away. That's what it was like.
But you get Boxing Day was traditional for having one of those games, Melvin, wasn't
That's right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
obviously, over Christmas, they'd have you playing your nearest rival. But there used to be a song waiting for Boxing Day for Arsenal fans. But Boxing Day, one of those fixtures always fell on, and the other one was round about the April time. But that's long gone now. It's all made for TV and
exactly television rules, doesn't it?
Correct.
Honestly, what do you guys think when it comes to Tottenham versus Arsenal? Is the most emotional part of the game for you the rivalry and the back and forth between the players, or is it seeing the pain in the other fans when our team scores?
Well, years ago, I used to go to my school, then I obviously started work. It was basically it wrecked the rest of your week if you got beat. Because at school, you had loads of, friends, people you play football with at lunchtime and all that. Support West Ham, support Spurs. Not many Arsenal in my school, funnily enough. So if Arsenal got beat, you're thinking, oh no, how long have I got to take stick for? But obviously, when we won, it was quite good.
Yeah.
Talking about, sorry, Simon, apologise. Talking about special games, I went to when we won the league in '71. I went to that game.
Yeah,
that was unbelievable. I very quickly I bunked off school with my mate who's a Spurs supporter.
We won the league at White Hart Lane.
Yeah, I spoke to him today, funnily enough, about something. He phoned me up, we had a chat. Anyway, went to the game, and I get a phone call from my mother. Sorry, he says, "Dad's looking for you." I said, "I'm meeting him at the game." Well, he's just phoned the school. You're not there. I went, "Oh no!" So I had to bunk back into school, get registered, and bunk off again. We got there, I think, about 4 o'clock for a 7:30 kickoff, and we just got in. It was amazing, absolutely amazing. Yeah, never forget that. It was brilliant. That was a big game. 71.
71.
We won the league on the Monday, and we went to the final on the Saturday. Beat Liverpool in the 2-1 to win the double.
Oh,
and they were the last team to win the double.
I found an image of it. Let me share that with the viewers. So
right, Ray Kennedy, is it?
You can keep talking. I'm just gonna
get
it
Ray
up
Kennedy.
I'm sorry,
Simon.
Here we go. Oh, he's still looking. There we go. There it is.
Ray Kennedy.
That was the goal that was scored?
That was it. Couple of minutes for the end, Melvin, wasn't it?
It was.
Melvin, you're probably in this picture somewhere.
No, I'm at the Paxton Road. I was at right behind the goal at the back. I could see the streets before the game. I looked. There's a gap between the corrugated iron roof and the brickwork. So I was in the second from back row. I could look over and I looked at the streets. You could see miles away people queuing up. It was mental. There were more people are outside than in the ground. Because years ago you had to queue up. It wasn't all ticket. The only tickets mainly were basically ordinary games was for seats. The rest, a lot of standing there was years ago, obviously. And that wasn't ticketed. You just first come, first served basis.
May 3rd.
Marvellous.
May 3rd, 1971.
I was there. Bloody hell. God,
good memories?
Fantastic memories, yeah. My dad my uncle used to go with, they used to take me to Spurs away. And we could only get tickets sometimes in the Spurs seats, right? We had to keep very quiet, very, very quiet, obviously. And I remember, I think first game of the season we played Spurs, we beat them 2-1. First game, and they were a good team, Spurs then. 60, they were a better team than us, funnily enough, but we actually beat them first game of the season. And as we come up the stairs to get out of the ground, my dad said, that Arsenal, he goes, they always bloody beat us, didn't they? And so I thought, what's he saying that? Then I realised he was like taking the mickey out, he was like, everyone was like saying, yeah, they were agreeing with him because they were Spurs supporters. They would never agreed with him if he was an Arsenal supporter. But I've had, we've had some great games recently against Spurs, haven't we? The 2-5-2 wins, and we had some horrible defeats at White Hart Lane as well, where they battered us, absolutely battered us. Yeah. We've got beat 1 and 2-0. We could have got beat 5 or 6-0 a couple of times. They were absolutely, we just froze on the day in a derby. That shouldn't really happen. Shouldn't happen in any game.
Shout out to young ads.
Well, somebody put the previous comment to that was, and I think I said it when I was on last week, that my own view, and I'm slightly biased, but I think that's right. Spurs is the best derby in the Premier League.
Right, Stephen. Yeah, that's right. It's a good call.
Stephen's right there. It's turned into a real good spectacle on TV, and I would suggest for the neutrals as well, because Sky over the last few years have had this habit of beefing up the Liverpool United team for like a week in advance, and the amount of time that just turns into a damn squid, and people have sort of turned away. But the Arsenal Spurs game really has been.
Whose mic is that?
Whose mic's going fun? Is that yours, Sam? I think
No,
Sam's
it's
stuck.
not.
No?
No, it's not
okay.
Sam.
Gone.
It's all right now?
It's gone now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
It's just a ghost of Spurs past.
But yeah, look, goals. See that one there, Joseph's right. 5-2, 2-0 down, and then 5 goals. So you're getting 7 goals. You're getting a good game. No, I mean, a few of them might be errors and things like that. But if you come away from a game where you've had 7 goals, you've seen a good game of football.
Yeah.
That was the one where Walcott scored a couple, didn't he? He used to actually play well against them for some reason. He raised his game. Walcott, he scored loads of goals against them.
I'm trying to get the images. 5-2. Santi Cazorla was one of the goal scorers. Luzoski was one of the goal scorers.
Rosicky got the 3rd or 4th.
No, Sanya scored the first for us, then Van Persie, then Rosicky, and then I think Walcott scored 2 goals.
2, that's right. Yeah, we beat them 5-2 twice within 2 or 3 years, didn't we?
Correct.
Honestly, we've had a lot of good games against Tottenham, and honestly, you can't say they've had a lot of good games against us necessarily, because in recent history we've destroyed them statistically. When it comes to goals scored, goals conceded, wins at home, we've won more of our home games. We've drawn a lot of their home games, right? So right now,
the only thing is, when we get beat at White Hart Lane, or at home for that matter, you feel twice as sick. So it like doubles up. But what about the one when they beat us 3-2 when we were 2-0 up at home? That was a horrible one, wasn't it? They hadn't beaten us at home at our place for donkey's years, and we were 2-0 up. Then Shamak, the centre forward, remember him?
Yeah.
He had an open goal.
My God.
Nah, Sam, I don't know if you remember. He had an open goal going towards the goal. No one near him. He suddenly done a pirouette for some reason. They caught him up, got the ball, 2-0, and they all of a sudden, blink, it's 3-2.
Shamak's is one of those players. I tried to force the memory of him out of my brain, Shamak. I mean,
sorry, Sam.
it's not the best of memories, right?
Oh no!
Oh my God! It's him and Sonogo and a few of those. I mean, I don't know what we was doing.
It's Sonogo. Honestly, let's not even mention him right now.
He was a postman. He couldn't play football.
Long before that, at the start in the early 80s, I can remember us starting a North London derby, and Melbourne will remember this. And our 2 up front were John Hawley and Ray Hankin.
Oh my God! Yeah. Oh.
So they were sort of pre Shamak and Sonogos, I think.
But do you remember, Simon? We couldn't get a centre forward for love or money. We just.
That's right.
And we had another one. We have another geezer called Cosimo or something. Cosimo. Do you remember what happened to him?
Cosmina.
Cosmino. You know what happened to him? He came from Australia.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Terry Neal, I think, brought him on.
What'd you get? You get him off of Bondi Beach or something?
Guys,
I don't know. They reckon he was a good swimmer. Anyway,
remember any bad Arsenal players?
We got him. Now listen to this. We got him. He played about. Brought him on as sub, so let him come in slowly, right? Brought him on. 10 minutes later, he took him off. That's how bad he was. And Hankin was the player, the centre forward.
This year.
We bought him cheaply from Leeds or something. He come from,
Yeah.
But he was overweight. He went to Vancouver Whitecaps in America. Couldn't kick didn't do any work. Came back 8 stone too heavy. Got him down to the fighting weight and then sold him. I mean, it was that good. Our centre forward recruitment years ago. A bit like the centre halves now, really, isn't it? But there we go.
Good.
Okay, so I was gonna talk about the trophy cabinet now. The trophy cabinet that everyone talks about. When they talk about these 2 clubs, the first thing that people say is Arsenal, Tottenham. What have they won lately? What has Tottenham won lately for them to be past Arsenal? What has Arsenal won lately to be considered still this great team? Both sides, people talk about it all the time. And here, I got the numbers for you guys. Obviously, if you were to guess, who do you think has more league titles? Everyone knows, right?
Yeah.
Arsenal. Who has more FA Cups? Everybody knows.
Yeah.
Arsenal. Who has more League Cup titles? Now that is something they have above us, right? And then
make that bigger, please. Kid.
Yeah, I can do that.
Oh, it's two. Was that 4-2-4? They've got 4 out 2.
Yeah. So here we go. So let me explain what you guys have up on the sheet right now. So for people who can see this, we got 13 league titles to their 2. We got 12 FA Cups to their 8. We have
13.
What? 13? Yeah, 13.
Mm-hmm.
I'm mixing it up. We got 2 League Cups to our 4 to their 4. We got 1 league. I don't even know what trophy that is. Football League Century Trophy. We got 1. They have 0. And then the Community Shield. To me, it's just a glorified friendly, but they have 7. We have 15. Now here's where they somewhat trump us. They've won the Europa League twice, and they've won the Cup Winner Cup once, and we've won the Cup Winner Cup once, and we've won the Inner City Fair Cup once. So there's 2 European Cups to 3. And all in all, that tells you is that we have more than 41 domestic trophies compared to their 21. So they can't really touch us.
Kid,
in fairness to Spurs, we have to discount the Charity Shield because I don't really classify that as a tournament. That's just it's called the Community Shield now, isn't it? But it was Charity Shield. But ultimately, that doesn't count in my book. But
thanks, Simon.
It's still heavily stacked in our favour.
The thing is, can I ask you a question? Would we be sitting here tonight, right, and think about this nightmare if Spurs would have won last May the European, the top European Cup? We would have been finished. We wouldn't have missed any football. We'd have been talking about something else because it would have done me. You can have all the league titles you want, all the FA Cups we've won against theirs, have all that. You could put all that in the corner, and that European trophy will outdo us. And I raise you, they could say. And thank God that never happened. 90 minutes away.
Thank God that did not happen.
Yeah.
That did happen.
Ultimately, as with all clubs, you judge them what you win. Yeah. So when you're, in all sports, for argument's sake, if you turn around and say who's the best tennis player, who's the best golfer, you're naturally going to say people that have won the most amount of trophies. So the same is true with football. And if you look at I look at the league and I just think you've got United out in front, Liverpool, then ourselves in third. So that to me is a benchmark over the course of time as to where teams have been in the league. Now, sitting third out of everybody that's ever played is pretty good. And Spurs have only had 2 league wins. Now, don't get me wrong, their team in 61 was a fantastic team. They've done the double in 61 and had a great team there. But clearly, in the last 50 or 60 years, they've struggled to sort of come up with a formula that's going to get them into a position to win league titles. Now, it's not easy winning a league title. We know that as well as everybody else. And we had great success at the start of the 70s, end of the 80s, 90s and noughties. Obviously, we've not won anything for sort of 14, 15 years now. But we're obviously going to take our record against Spurs, aren't we?
Yeah. I mean, someone's asked the question what my best Arsenal game was against Spurs.
I think you guys should all answer that if you've been to a Spurs game.
Joseph has asked. Well, it's got to be the 71 when we won the league. It's got to be. I can't better that. I'm sorry, because had we drawn the game 1-1 or 2-2, we would have lost. We wouldn't have won the league because it was a different system years ago. It was goals divided by how many against rather than the difference in goals. So therefore, if we'd have drawn 0-0, mathematically, we'd have won the league. If we'd have drawn 1-1, we would have lost the league. That's how different it was years ago. So it was, and Spurs were the 3rd best team in the league that year. They came 3rd, and playing away to them to have to get a draw 0-0 or a win was a big shout, and we did it. And it was fantastic. It was, well, the atmosphere was unbelievable. It felt like 100,000 people there. They were just giving it all. It was great. It was that's my favourite game. It's got to be. It can't be any other Arsenal Spurs game. Even if we beat them 10-0 next season or whatever. No, it's got to be that.
Okay, just before we go on, I want to show you guys something. during this time of coronavirus, there's a lot of people who are looking for toilet paper. They're looking for all these things that they need, and they can't find it, right? So here at Sunny TV Arsenal, we like you guys. We want to give you guys some new advertisements to the Tottenham Hotspurs toilet rolls. So what you can do is, if you're an Arsenal fan, you can buy these Tottenham Hotspur toilet rolls, and you can go to the loo and you can do whatever you need. We don't need to know, but just remember, Tottenham Hotspur are here for your toilet roll services. Anyways, you guys can continue. As you were saying?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's always a great, like the guys have been saying, I mean, they've made loads of good points, but yeah, it's always a good fixture. It's always one of those fixtures. Of course, it's one of the fixtures on the calendar. I mean, the schedule you're looking at straight away. When are we playing Spurs? When are we playing United? When are we playing Liverpool? And Spurs games are always great games. They're always entertaining. It's an easy way to win a few quid on betting on the game having more than 2 goals, because 9 out of 10 games, the game's going to have loads of goals. There's always a scoring game, which is good. It's always great. I think it's great for the neutral as well. It must be. But yeah, there's always a lot of tension, a lot of a lot there to you feel the atmosphere, don't you? Even through the telly, you can feel there's much more buzz in the atmosphere at the stadium, whether it's at or at Emirates. It's one of those great games, isn't it? One of those great rivalries, and it's it goes back for them. I mean, they must be so bitter because you look at our history where not only we won so much more than them, but it's a fact of we took their place in the first division in 1919, and we've never been out of it since. And then we took their captain, Sol Campbell, and won.
I was gonna get there.
And won the league at White Hart Lane with him in our team. I mean, how much more dominant can you be?
That was it, you see. So sorry. I'll say when he went. This. Go on.
Go ahead, Melvin. Go ahead.
I want to say, when your captain goes to your rivals, not for money, but to win things, and then he does win things, that is a kick between the legs, isn't it? He could have gone to Barcelona, he could have gone Man United, he could have gone anywhere, but he chose Arsenal. And that, for a Spurs fan, must have been hot. Forget, even before that, we were the much better team before that. We'd had a run of, say, 5 or 10 years of dominating the league and FA Cup and everything. And Spurs fans were sick, because not only were we winning things, it used to be in the Graham era, all right, you're winning games, it's boring. But now we're winning games, playing the most amazing football people have perhaps seen in their lifetime. And we've nicked the captain. I mean, can it get worse for Spurs? Yes, we won the league at their ground as well. So, I mean, it's just...
We're him in it,
trick, didn't we? I mean, so that is why I think that is why when Spurs the last couple of years have been higher than us and done better than us, let's face it, they have in league positions. That's why Spurs fans are so happy. They can actually take their foot off the throttle a bit. They've been taking so much stick the last 20 years. They had stick. And now, even if they don't win anything, I think it's a relief for them not to keep taking it.
I mean, to be fair to Spurs, and that being biased, Spurs are a huge club. Anyone that thinks they're like a poor relation, Spurs are a massive club. I've often wondered why, because they didn't spend as big as us, I don't think, for quite a period. When the money went berserk in football, they never went mad with the checkbook. We didn't, but we always seemed to get better deals over the line than what they did. And we always seem to spend a bit more. But they've never really been able to assemble a team that's capable of putting a run together in the league since I've been watching football, which goes back to the 70s. Now, I don't know why that is, because they've also had a succession of managers there. They've really, really sort of had a hire and fire policy for quite a few years. I mean, we all know that sort of, what was his name? Villa Boati was there. Who was the French bloke they had there? He was only there for about 4 months or something like that. But
that was before the Dutch geezer, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, he was
they came together, I think, or something, wasn't it?
Dutch guy, wasn't he?
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Let me tell you guys something. Let me tell you guys something quickly before we move on. A lot of people were not there around the 71 when we won the league title at Tottenham, but a lot of people were that are alive right now that would remember when we won in 2004. And I just want to put the image out there for you. How are you guys feeling? Explain to me how you felt in 2004, that season, the invincible season, when we were winning the league title at Tottenham, when people were there celebrating with the fans in the away section, at the end of the season when we celebrated, let alone being in that ground, going home that night, knowing that, oh, don't forget, Harry Kane was an Arsenal fan before he went to Tottenham. And then, yeah, just all those things, all your emotions from that night. Can you guys remember anything from that night? And just let us know what you felt.
You're asking us?
Yeah.
I didn't go to the game, fun. I don't know why, but I didn't go. I watched it, obviously. It was fantastic. But it was a bit strange because I was not upset, that's the wrong word. I was disappointed because we should have beaten them 3 or 4-0. We took our
I felt the same way,
Yeah. But we won the league, Sam. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
We won the league, and me and you were saying, but. And it was a stupid goal to give away. A goalkeeper, Lens.
Lehmann.
Yeah, Lehmann. Sorry, Lehmann. What he done, Jens Lehmann, he basically had a fight, pushing and shoving with Keane on the goal line, and the referee had to give a penalty. I mean, it was in the last minute. What were you doing, mate? But anyway, not really that bothered. We won it.
I think that the bigger thing that season, because we were obviously always going to win it, but the bigger thing that season, at that stage of the season, was going unbeaten because, all right, we got a point there and we won, and it was a little bit sour because we hadn't won the game. But ultimately, I don't know how many games were left after that, maybe 5 or something like that. But
it's a lot.
That invincible tag only really sort of started cropping up with about 12 or 13 games left to go, I think, before people started talking about it. Now, I was actually at Man United that year when Van Nistelrooy at the bar in the last minute.
Oh my God! You went to that game? Wow.
Yeah, I was there. I was in the Man United end that day. Funny enough.
Wow.
Oh, bloody hell.
But you know, that's how fine margins we sort of had. And I'm sure there was a home game against Portsmouth where we got a bit of a fortunate penalty there. But ultimately,
Perez.
It was. But it sort of went on and on and on. So winning the league at White Hart Lane was great. Now, if you were there, I wasn't there, but if you were there that day, it must have been fantastic. And I'm pretty sure we're the only team that's won the league at White Hart Lane, Man United and Liverpool if you look back over the years. But if you beat your rivals and you know that you've won the league, it doesn't really get much better than that, does it?
Guys, I just wanted to highlight this Twitter page. This guy, whoever made this Twitter page, is an absolute legend, and he deserves all the advertisement he gets. So, guys, go check this page out. It's absolutely hilarious. I love this guy for this. He made this page so long ago. You guys can see he made this page in December 2010. They have still not won anything since that date. And every single day since that day, he has tweeted one time each day for how many days since Spurs have won their last title. And they still have not won anything, and they will keep not winning anything. And hopefully this keeps going until Twitter exists, and one day it's disbarred or something. I don't know. But
after the Champions League final, he put a message up there. And the message was, guess I'll be keeping this going a bit longer then.
That is amazing.
Brilliant.
Should we talk about players that play for both clubs or went from one club to another rather than going to an intermediate club?
Melvin, I have that ready for you. I have that ready for you. And
Good man.
I will get you started. Before we get into that, I'm going to say in a world where there was one club in North London, Arsenal came in with their guns ablaze and took over the whole area. Everybody in those areas knew that they were kids, parents, grandmothers, storekeeps. They all knew North London has become red.
They've got them all there.
In over a night. Right here, I have some of the players who played for both clubs and have played in North London derbies. So I don't have all of them, but I have some of them. So to name some of the players, we have Adebayo, we have William Gallas, we have Willie Young, we have Jimmy Robertson, we have Pat Jennings, we have David Jenkins, we have Sol Campbell, and Lauren. I don't know how to say this guy's name. Something Brown.
Laurie
Brown.
Okay. I've seen all of those play actually.
Okay, so
right, Laurie Brown. He went to Spurs from us. He was a centre half by trade, and he played a couple of games up front if the teams were short. They didn't have very big squads years ago. He actually, in a Spurs Arsenal game at White Hart Lane, he scored an own goal for us, which was quite nice. So obviously, he still had feelings for us.
Okay, so
there was Willie, and you would remember, Sam, I suppose you'd remember, and you, Simon, Willie Young. Do you ever see him play?
I remember, yeah. He came with Terry Neal, didn't he?
Yep.
Yeah. So here's Tottenham players.
The game before we signed him, not the we played Spurs at White Hart Lane, and he got sent off against us. He was a big, tough centre half. He's a bit crude, if you like, but got sent off. And then a few months later, we only go and sign him. The crowd were not happy. The fans were not happy. What are we doing? A Spurs thing sent off dirty. At the end of the day, he was a Spurs favourite. He was a fan's favourite. He was terrific. Him and David O'Leary formed a great partnership. David O'Leary was a very good footballing centre half.
Okay.
And Willie Young just won everything in the air. It was brilliant. Who else? Jimmy Robertson. Now, the thing about Jimmy Robertson, and that was in mid-60s, late 60s. Yeah, late 60s. He was a terrific Scottish winger. Very, very good. And David Jenkins came to our ranks and only played a few games for us. And then Spurs, beginning of the season, he's played about 4 or 5, I don't know, 10 games for us. Decided they want to swap Jimmy Robertson for David Jenkins. Nobody could believe it because he was quality, Jimmy Robertson. And I don't think David Jenkins saw the season out with Spurs. He was just not really that good enough. You keep moving. Who else we got there?
Okay,
Freddie
so
Cox.
I just wanted to talk about this. This is the list of some of the Arsenal players that went to Tottenham and the years that they went there and how much they participated in each team. Then down here you have a list of some
David Jenkins, only 25. Look.
Yeah, so David Jenkins, 25 appearances, 9 goals. He played for Tottenham. He only had 17 appearances and 2 goals. And I'm trying to find out. Look at this. William Gallas had 143 appearances for us. He had 106 for them. William Gallas.
No, it's Adebayo.
Adebayo. William Gallas played. But then down here, you look at this, guys. Former Arsenal winger became Tottenham manager in 44 to 59. And then George Graham, who was an Arsenal player, Arsenal manager, then became a Tottenham manager.
He was never accepted by Spurs fans.
No way.
Never.
They used to call him the man in the coat that wouldn't sing his name.
Yeah.
Okay, what about these guys? Have you guys ever heard of these guys down here? You got Jimmy O'Hare, youth player.
Jimmy O'Hara.
Who joined Tottenham.
Yeah, cool.
O'Hara, yeah.
And then
he's on Sport now.
And then you got Ron.
Jimmy O'Hara got story about him, which is not a bad one, a good story about him, but I'll say off air.
Okay.
No, it's a nice one. He's all right. He's a good boy. I'll tell you who they have then. What about Terry Neal? He was manager of. Did you say Terry Neal?
No.
No, he came
Terry Neal
played
for Arsenal, managed Arsenal, and then managed Spurs. I think he took them down, didn't he?
Oh, he is here.
I think he was the manager when they went down.
Terry Neal, former gunner. Nielsen was Tottenham manager, crossed the divide, and joined. Right. Yeah, he played there. He took him down.
He brought Willie Young with him.
That's why we signed, and I think that's why we signed the goalie, Pat Jennings, as well. Yeah. Wasn't it? That's a great signing, wasn't it?
Okay, so this is now the list of Tottenham players that joined Arsenal and the time that they joined Arsenal. Let me go through the comments, see what people are saying in the comment section. If Spurs had class, they would have.
True, Carol. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about Jimmy Greaves.
You don't know anything about Jimmy Greaves?
Yeah, can you guys tell me a little bit about him?
He would be unbuyable. Spurs could have built 5 stadiums with the money they could have got for him.
Yeah, we got a regular Tottenham fan here talking about his army. I don't know about that.
Very constructive.
Park Lane Mead. You got to say big up to Park Lane Mead. I mean, he's always in here, isn't he? Yeah, he's always in here watching our stuff.
I don't think we're supposed to say that word, but whatever.
No, whatever. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, let's just move past that. And then, okay, so respect to all you guys in the comments section, but just 1 second, I'm just going to go back to the Wikipedia page.
Jimmy Greaves deserves a little bit more than 5 seconds. I mean, he was unbelievable. He was different class, wasn't he? He could pick the ball up anywhere, dribble past as many as you want, and then just smash it in. And if he didn't dribble, if the ball went loose in the box, it always fell to him, didn't it? He was an amazing player. Absolutely amazing.
Okay, respect to you for shouting out Jimmy Greaves. You did a good job in the comment section. Appreciate it. We need more interaction in the comment section, guys. Let us know what you guys think, so we can get some more content out there for you guys.
I'll tell you what though. I was looking a bit through the statistics, of the derby, everything between Tottenham and Arsenal, and one thing that really surprised me was just I couldn't believe I was reading, and that is, I don't know if you guys might have seen the same statistic, but I'll ask it first off as like a quiz question, see if you get it. That is, which player has scored the most goals in the Arsenal derbies?
I know
Walcott.
this.
Would it be Walcott?
I know this. For Arsenal or for both teams combined?
It's for both teams combined. Who scored the most goals in the...
Adebayor then, yeah?
Adebayor. I mean, that bloody... can't believe he's got the most goals.
Penalties, though, didn't he? Yeah, he scored a lot of penalties.
He scored a lot.
Do you remember? Terrific. He had good strike rate. He was. I tell you what,
I didn't think it was him. I thought it would have been someone like Henry, but it wasn't actually. It was Adebayor.
There's someone set up here. What they say?
I don't understand what he's talking about, but hey, shout out to you for talking about me.
So here's the tag. So we talk about Spurs, and in the current situation, Spurs at the moment, and the fans must know this, they're the most in-debt club in Europe. Now, that's obviously as a result of moving stadiums predominantly, but then the calamity that followed when they found themselves without a stadium for the best part of the season has had a massive impact on their finances. Now, with the current situation, what's going on, they've already switched to furloughing a lot of their staff. I think that they are going to suffer financially going forward, Tottenham. I can see, I know we had Jeff on it the other night, I can see him having to sell Harry Kane in the summer, because I really think they're in a poor... I know they're owned by a billionaire, but he's just not all of a sudden going to put like untold millions into them overnight. So I think they're in a bit of bother.
Yeah.
You know what, Simon? You're dead right. I was speaking to someone the other day who mentioned it to me. This is before this really kicked in, right? The situation we're in. Yeah. He says, I spent all that money. And also, you've got to remember that people like Ericsson, where they could have got 100 million for, allegedly, well, they get from 20 million or something.
It's token because they had to sell him, wasn't it? Yeah.
Exactly. A centre half, they got the two decent centre halves. They had the two of the best centre halves going 3 years ago. Their value must have been about 100, 120 between them. They're probably worth 20 now, not between them as well. They've lost a lot of money on that. That sounds a bit like the Arsenal, doesn't it?
Yeah. Can I show you guys something? 1 second. Let me show you guys where they're going to make their money up. They have just signed a big undercover contract with Amazon. And this is what their stadium is going to look like from now on. It's going to be called the Amazon Stadium, and it's going to have the Amazon logo on the front of the stadium. And their stadium is going to now no longer be called the Tottenham Arsenal. It's not going to be called the Tottenham Stadium. It's not going to be called the place where Arsenal runs around and beats you every night. It's going to be called the Amazon Stadium. And for their stadium to have an A in it, it's just ironic because we run that stadium.
I don't think that'll get him. I don't know what the deal was. What's it? 100? Was it 50 million a year or 20 million a year? What is it?
They haven't released the exact figures, but it is official that Tottenham Stadium will be soon called the Amazon Stadium, and they're currently working on the signage during this time where no one can go outside, so they can keep it undercover. That Tottenham Stadium will now be called Amazon Stadium. Oh, breaking news, guys!
I don't think that's right. That's not right, though.
No, it is. It's going to be.
It can't be. Can I tell you why?
Why?
Because Amazon always deliver.
Okay, guys, we have some breaking news. Let's talk about it. Liverpool have now reversed their decision to furlough their staff. Oh my God, what a 360 turn! What do you guys think?
Well, it doesn't
no Premier League team should be entering into that scheme. That scheme is not designed for Premier League clubs at all. That is designed for businesses and employees who can continue to pay their staff in this situation and then hopefully restart their business afterwards. But for a Premier League team clubs who have to go to the government and get taxpayers to be paying wages to staff when they've got players on 25, 30, 40, 50, 100,000 pound a week in Arsenal and Liverpool. For me, they've had to do that because of the pressure they've come under from their own fans, let alone everybody else's fans. Obviously sort of hit home.
Guys, I'm getting feedback from somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, who is that? Okay, it stopped.
But in the grand scheme of things, what they've done is the right and proper thing to do.
That's good.
Who's?
It's
Mr. Now, sorry, Simon. Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, it was them and Spurs holding hands, the two European finalists. All that money, they've got to the final. One of them actually obviously won it.
They've still got egg on their faces, haven't they? I mean, they already made that decision. And it's obviously because of all the huge protests and even their own players like Carragher and Redknapp coming out against them. You know, it's only because of the mass, protest they've decided to change that decision. It's
terrible. You know what makes me laugh, Sam? You're talking about people, these executives, the top Premier clubs. They get paid an absolute fortune. Are you trying to tell me that they made a decision like that? How could they do it? Something's wrong. Either they're not top quality people, or something's wrong. How can they think, what we're going to do? We'll do that. No one's ever done it yet. No one's done. We'd be the first clubs to do a furlough. That'd be good, won't it? Who in their right mind thought they're going to win on that? All they have to do is sell 2 reserve players, and it pays probably for the rest of their staff for a year, let alone 3 months.
Okay,
it
guys,
just baffles me how people get to those high positions.
Let me just jump in there quickly. Simon Lester, you said that no Premier League club should be entering into this. I would disagree there because I feel like a club like Bournemouth, they're actually saying that they could actually go under because of this whole situation, and it's affecting them so negatively that their bottom line could be affected because the way their system works is they don't budget their contracts into a budget where they can survive. They capacitate their budget to survive in the league, and they pay more wages than they should be than they make money incoming. Because if it wasn't for their incoming money, they would not be able to pay their wages, let alone have savings.
So here's my response to that.
What are we going to say, Simon?
I saw a statistic that Bournemouth, 85% of Bournemouth's revenue goes on player salaries. Now, quite how the people behind the scenes can allow themselves to get into that position in the first place is crazy, because I don't know any business at all that can survive with 85% of its revenue going to 25 to 30 people. That's madness. Now, I think if you finish bottom of the Premier League, you get £100 million. So Bournemouth must know, even if it doesn't complete, Bournemouth are going to get a percentage of that. But my question would be, because there's also been a lot of speculation about players taking a wage drop and stuff like that. I don't know who Bournemouth's top earner is, but I'm pretty sure they're going to have someone there on £25,000 a week. So this is where the players should be saying, well, hang on a minute, well, let's forget the union, that we need to step in and look after the good of our own club here and stuff like that. They shouldn't need prompting from the players' union. There's a situation there. And if they go and talk to the people at the club or vice versa with the people there, there's a resolution there without having to enter this scheme. So I still stand by me tact that A, they've obviously over budgeted for what they think they can do, but B, there's a way out of that, and it can be done internally.
There's 2 ways of doing it, Simon. Now, all the top 11 that have been paid in their team, top earners, say, right, 10, 20%, that will probably more than pay for the rest of the staff, right? Or they've just let Ryan Fraser might be going on a free, right? They could have got 20, 30 million for him last year.
Right.
So don't blame the situation. Blame perhaps your own business, your model. Perhaps that wasn't right. As 30 million goes out the window that they could have had. And also, as I say, they could sell someone who's, I don't know, their squad's 25, sell 2 of them. You ain't going to use 25 players in a season.
Guys, I don't know if
very unlucky.
I don't know if you watched the Sunderland documentary, but I watched it recently, and I seen that their documentary stated how they were paying players wages so much that when they went down and they got relegated, the money that they were bringing in could not pay for the players that they had, which made them.
They're going 30. They were going 30 million in minus on wages.
every week,
Wow.
which made them by the end of the season have to get double relegated because they couldn't afford to pay some of the players. They literally had to pay players contracts to release them, knowing that they're their best players, in order to survive getting relegated a third time. Because when they got relegated the second time, that meant they were no longer making enough to even pay 70% of their club's wages. They're only getting 30% of their club's wages a week after they got double relegated. So at that point, they had to fully take the losses, and it was almost transfer window budgets of releases for that they paid these people. And so when it comes to these kind of clubs getting into financial situations, it can be so monumentally damaging.
Leeds, look at Leeds. Leeds, prime example. Leeds got the semi-final of the Champions League back in 2001. Was it 2002? Something like that. They thought every season that was going to be the norm. What happened? Bang! All went pear-shaped. Went into administration. Ended up in the third tier of English football, and it's taken them sort of 15 years to get back to a position whereby they're challenging to actually get promoted back into the top league. You can't do it. If this doesn't highlight this situation, if it doesn't highlight the crazy finances of football and how all these clubs are overexerting themselves, nothing else will. They should all take a step back now and say, something's got to change. Something has to change.
You know something? I thought about this. I'm going to talk about this a few years ago. Why money going out the game, right? If it goes to the players, it goes to the players. But so much money goes to agents. Yeah. And agents are, in my opinion, and I do know one or two, fun enough, they're not going to love me for it. They probably won't watching this. But I don't think they're necessary. Because at the end of the day, it's all about negotiation. If you've got a solicitor who can negotiate, that's fine. That's great. He knows all the rules. He's licensed. He could actually save the football. But you know what happened? Probably they won't give the agents the money. They'll add it on to get a player that they can't really afford. They'll probably give it to him, so the money won't stay in with the club. It still go out. You see, football clubs nowadays, in my opinion, I don't got all the books, but if they suddenly get a windfall of 100 million, they spend it. Don't worry about what's around the corner. No one saw this happening. I agree. Nobody saw this happening.
Just jump in
but
there.
No club, I wouldn't have thought, has a lot of fat on their body now. Even the Premiership clubs, which I thought would have done. They haven't got any fat, and anything goes wrong, they're struggling. For the amount of revenue that a Premiership club gets every year, guaranteed, even if no one comes through the turnstiles, guaranteed, they should have a reasonable business.
No, they just think address that whenever you get a chance. I listen to a lot of podcasts, right? And I listen to a lot of ESPN FC and Gab Marcotti and these guys, and they always talk about how clubs run at 100% income of their income. They keep it available for the survival of the club and the spending of the club. So Bournemouth is a club that has invested so much money into the club where everything that comes in, they can use it towards transfers. So when when Tom says, "Oh, they spent 19 million on Solanke," what you have to remember is they spent 25 million on Nathan Ake, or 13 million, so between that price, between 10 to 20 million for Nathan Ake, right? And these kind of guys. And nobody would ever bat an eye at Nathan Ake when he was at Chelsea, when he was an academy player. But these guys, these small clubs, they have to take those risks and grab these young players from bigger teams in order to survive. And when they're spending 25 million on a player, and they're selling the guy to Aston Villa, Tyrone Mings, they're literally taking a loan to make sure all the money is given to them up front. And now those payments that are going, monthly payments, those annual payments that we paid, like for Pepe, a club like Bournemouth can't do that. They can't get payments from you. They need all that money up front. So what do? They go and solicit their money from their income, from their incoming transfers to other people who are going to give them all the money up front. And it becomes a vicious cycle where they're constantly spending money that they don't have, and they're spending all their revenue to almost the point where they're spending almost 100% of their revenue, and they have no net budget to survive if things go wrong. So a moment like this, they're crashed.
I think we should swerve back a bit on the Spurs thing, because this is a Spurs-Arsenal podcast.
Let me jump in.
Any players from the current Spurs squad that you would take for Arsenal?
I will
Give him
tell
a
you
chance.
who it is, but he might be on Call of Duty soon because he might not be in FIFA anymore. He's joining the military during this time of
You
coronavirus.
take Son, would you? Right.
Yeah, he's joining the military, the Korean military, because he has to do military service by being a Korean citizen. He's done some of his service for the country by winning them a medal in football. But now during this time, since there might be 4 more weeks off, he's going to enter the military and start his military service within these next 4 weeks. And that I thought was an interesting story for you guys to talk about.
But you would take him, would you?
Definitely. I honestly think besides Mane, Son is probably one of the best players on that side of the field. When you talk about forwards that play on the left-hand side, he's one of the best in the Premier League. Even though he plays for Tottenham.
I'll take him as well. I'll take him. Yeah.
He'd be your first choice, Sam. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I would take him ahead of Kane. I would take him ahead of Kane, to be honest. Yeah, because I think he would give us more. He's a he would give us a lot more. He'd give us that creativity and goals.
It's very fast, isn't he, as well? Direct, which we haven't got a lot of. Yeah, very. What about you, Simon?
I don't. I mean, I'm trying to. I mean, my own view anyway, and I've said it on here many times, is the Arsenal weak link is our midfielder. I mean, I'd be quite happy with a complete new midfield, but I'm struggling to think of an outstanding player in the Spurs midfield at the moment that would enhance us. I think they're much the same. But I mean, who's their regular starting midfield? Spurs. Who's the three they have in the middle?
I'll tell you, they have
Wicks. That's it, Wicks.
They have Wicks, Sissoko, and Dembele.
Who's the French?
Sissoko.
Yeah, but he's coming towards the end, and I mean he's been quite good for him since the World Cup. I would say he's been quite good for him, but no, the answer. I'm not being biased, but no, the answer is I don't think anyone in their side. If you look at the defence, the two best defenders they've got there, I think, are Alderweireld.
Over the hill a bit now, aren't they?
But they're coming at the end as well, aren't they?
Yeah, coming at the end of their career. Yeah, they were good players, though. Very good.
So we're not going to buy 30-year-old players and put them inside. So.
Okay, guys, I'll try to cut my explanation shorter.
I tell you who wasn't a great footballer but would have done a good job for us. I don't know if he's still even on the books. I don't know if he's left. It's the geezer they bought from Southampton in the midfield, the enormous geezer. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, Toby
I think he's funny. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's in the MLS.
Yeah.
But he was someone with a big physique in the middle of the park to stop people playing. And I know he's not probably the greatest football we've ever seen, but I think he could have done a good job for us.
Well, did you see today that, I mean, a lot of it's paper talk, and here we go again. So AC Milan offering 40 million for Torreira. Euro.
I can't believe that.
Yes.
Man United. Herrera, not Pereira. Okay, yeah. Let me pull that up. You said Torreira?
Torreira.
40 million euros, right? So I'll lay my cards on the table. I'd take that tomorrow.
Definitely, 100%.
I'd take that tomorrow because I think easily we can upgrade on him. And 40 million as a deposit for someone is massive, and it represents big profit on a player that I don't think has set the world on fire at the Emirates.
And evidently, Simon, his heart's not in it. If his heart's not in it, then what's the point?
I agree. I think he's got itchy feet, and I think he'd be quite happy to leave.
I wouldn't be too upset. I mean, there's not a lot of players I would be upset with if they were left. Be honest with you.
Let's see what it says here. It says AC Milan, Torreira. It says Arsenal seek 35 fee for a player if Milan are willing to pay that. Basically,
in other words, nothing's going to happen.
Pounds, wasn't it?
Yeah. They're saying 35. Okay, Milan 34. No, that's wrong.
Going down all the time.
That's a lead player. What the hell's going on? I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think that's gonna happen. Personally, I honestly think Torreira. There's been a lot of weird stories around Torreira, circling around Torreira. If the player doesn't want to be here, just sell him. I'm tired of players who don't want to be here. Personally, if you don't want to be at the club, this great club that we have, and you don't care about the badge, like, get out of here. I don't care about you. I care about the club. I care about the club. If you're Aubameyang, if you're Lacazette, it doesn't matter if you're Cristiano Ronaldo. If you don't want to be at the club should tell you to beat it. Personally, that's my opinion. And if you want a player that is going to play for you and is going to appreciate you, go get Abdoulaye Doucouré from Watford, because this guy has single-handedly carried Watford for 2 seasons, and nobody in the Premier League out of the top 6 clubs are ever mentioning him. But Grealish comes out of nowhere for 1 season, and people are all over his dick. I'm sorry. It's not. I'm sick and tired of it.
I mean, everyone makes mistakes. Every season, clubs make mistakes. I mean, Spurs made a great mistake about 2 or 3 years ago when they got Grealish. They were haggling over 5 million. Was it 15 to 20 or something? They wanted 20. Villa, Spurs were only giving 15. I mean, you're talking about. I'm not saying he's worth it. I suppose it is if someone pays it. 60 million for him. They're talking about now. He's had 1 very good season in the top flight, and it's all of a sudden he's a 60 million pound player. Having said that, Simon and Sam and Kid, just thinking about the ramifications of what's happening at the moment, everything might change basis.
I agree.
You know, it could all change.
Yeah, the transfer budget could go back.
Yeah.
But going back to that Tottenham thing, you know what happened? They got greedy. They Aston Villa were desperate. They said, "We're going to sell him to you for 14. Give us 14." They said, "No, we'll pay. We'll give you 2." They're like, "Okay, no, we're desperate. Give us 7. We need to survive. Give us 7 million. You could have him." They said, "No, we'll give you."
As low as that?
We'll give you 5. By the moment that they were taking a flight to America, by the time the flight landed, Aston Villa was sold, and Grealish's price went from 7 million to 25 million, just like that. Right? The moment his price went to 25 million, the man said, "Okay, now I'll give you 14. Please give him to me." They said, "No, the deal's dead."
Talk about Tottenham again. One of the strange things over the last 4 or 5 years, that I can't believe it's happened, is how Spurs have got away paying their top players really poor wages compared to other teams. I mean, they were paying people 40s and 50,000s a week when we had players, some of them not even in their team, getting more than that. You know, some of our reserves are getting. How did Spurs get away with it? I mean, Harry Kane, I think he's just over 100 now, isn't he? I mean, going back a couple of years, how was he not earning 150 then? And Ericsson was on like 60 or something silly. I mean, they got away with it for so many years. And that's why I think it's all coming to an end now at the same time. Spurs don't want to suddenly up the wages so much. Perhaps they can't afford it now as well with what's happened. So they're going to lose players for not a lot of money. Same as we're in with Ozil, giving him all that. You know, it's worked reverse with us. We overpay players, and so therefore they're happy to sign again, but we can't afford it. It's not worth it.
I think what we've done incorrectly for so many years is we really overpay the young players. You know, the youth players. We pay more for the youth players than, you know, a lot of top flight clubs, the lower top flight clubs around the world. I mean, it's ridiculous to see some of the wages some of our youth players have been getting, and it was just overpaid to get them in, bring them in from other places, and they just get rewarded for not doing anything. And it's completely wrong, really.
Melvin, look at this. You're so right. Even till now, they're still not paying their players much. When you look at these contracts compared to our guys,
I can't see. Sorry, my eyes are going.
Okay, let me tell you. Harry Kane's getting 200 a week. You got Ndembele getting 200 a week. You got Son getting 140. Just to give you guys relativeness, 140 is the same amount of money that Kolasinac is getting, and he's like our 4th best paid player. Okay. Then you have Dele Alli. Dele Alli's getting 100. Dele Alli is getting 100. Okay.
I thought 100. I thought we'd get more than that.
He's getting 100.
If he was at Liverpool, I'm not saying he's good enough. If he was at Liverpool a couple of years ago, he looked like he was good enough. He'd have been 150, 200 a week by now. And that's Liverpool.
Yeah. So these guys get away with paying basically nothing, and then we have guys like Mesut Ozil getting 300.
Get a bit closer. Can you make that bigger, kid?
Yeah.
That's it, right.
So these guys are getting paid like that kind of stuff, and now I'm gonna try to show you the Arsenal pay wage. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like they're basically getting away with murder when it comes to paying these players this much money, and our wages compared to theirs. We're paying guys like Mustafi how much? What was he getting paid again? 90K a week.
But there's 6 Tottenham players there on 6-figure weekly sums. So let's compare that to Arsenal.
Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna pull up the same exact site for Arsenal, and I'm gonna show you guys right now what it looks like, because this is absolutely, to me, they've been getting away.
that's obscene money, isn't it? And they've just gone asking for taxpayers' money.
Cap in hand.
All you have to do is Harry Kane's money, put it in half, put all the players in half, and that will cover not only the club's expenditures, but that will cover all the non-playing staff's wages.
Correct.
Am I wrong?
And more.
And more. It's just absolutely ridiculous.
Toby, the centre half, the centre half was Spurs. First name Toby. He's on 80 grand a week. Out of Vera, yeah. 80 grand a week 2-3 years ago. It's probably
oh my god,
in the top two earners.
Guys, do you see?
That's how we do it.
So there's nine Arsenal players on 100,000 or more a week.
Oh my god!
Look at us. To show you how bad we have things. This just goes to show you how bad we are at giving contracts out and how good Tottenham are at giving contracts out. Honestly, spin it the other way. Tottenham are getting away with not having to pay too much, but we're giving out money willy-nilly to everybody. Like David Luiz is getting ridiculous money. Hector Bellerin's getting ridiculous money. Leno.
The thing is with us though, we pay. I mean, if you look down the bottom of the list, we're paying huge wages to squad players. If there's any way you could scroll down, you see how much. Look, I mean, Mustafi way down the list, he's on 90,000. I mean, look how high these wages are all the way through. If you look at the rest, look at it. Chambers is on 50 grand.
Oh no, is he?
Yeah.
Guendouzi
50 grand a week.
And then it gets a bit more sensible down the bottom there.
I mean, look at on 25.
But look how much we're paying just completely average players. I mean, Socrates is on £92,000 a week.
Oh,
Socrates,
guys, this is just torture to look at. Now let's just go back to the Tottenham one now. You'll see the difference when it comes to how basically the 100 grand for us stops at near the end of the first page. For them, 100 grand stopped after like the first 3 people. And it just goes to show you Arsenal's negotiation skills. Like, oh my God, like Ben Davis. Okay, look at this. Harry Winks is getting the same as Chambers, and that's the lowest. That's like the last major like squad player that's getting decent money.
But if you answer if you're a foreign player coming to the Premier League, are you coming here for the biggest cash incentive you can get, or are you coming here to try and win the Premier League, or because your team's in the Champions League? I don't know. I would suggest it's a different mindset for some of them. But if you're offered 250,000 a week, or let's say 200,000 a week to go to a club that's not in the Champions League, or 100,000 to go to a club that is, I would say 9 out of 10 of them are going to take the bigger offer, cash.
Definitely.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm gonna stop showing that because to me, we should look at it as this way: is that our bad negotiation skills, or is it just Tottenham's really good negotiation skills? Which one is it, or can it be a combination of the two? Because so when we talk about the clubs, Arsenal historically is the better club. Let me just try to wrap it up with a very simple way.
Yeah, Harry Kane is on Mkhitaryan wages. That's crazy. There's a guy there. He's our player. And he's not kicked a ball for us since September. Yeah,
and when you look at it this way, historically Arsenal's a better club. Pay wise, Arsenal pays better. Statistically, we still are the better team in history. We might not have the better team today, but we still are the better club. We still have the bigger pay that we can pay more players. We can do better things. If our scouts and our managers did the right things, we would be a lot better. And we have the capability to be a bigger giant than they would ever be, because we are basically right now a sleeping giant. And Tottenham, they're basically at the peak of their powers, and they still they're still trying to compare their peak to our worst. That's what I believe.
Just because we pay more money, don't make us a better club. We're overpaying players. You've got to take that in consideration. How many players have we got that we are really overpaying? Spurs don't overpay.
Guys, we got a super chat. Let me just read this out. glad you guys are discussing the ridiculous wages and the mismanagements of the previous times. We are stuck with some of these players now. 100% Vegas winner. 100%. We are definitely stuck with some of these players. We have some issues financially. We're gonna have trouble trying to get rid of guys' contracts. Like, I'm not so mad about Chambers' contract. Like, do you guys want me to get this back on the screen? Because it gets me mad looking at it.
No, I'm fed up with it. Leave it.
I'd
rather look at Simon.
Yes.
Okay. Name a player. Let's play name a player, guess the wages, okay? I'm going to name a player, you try to guess the wages. Mavropanos. I'm going to name his guess his wages weekly.
50 or 60. 50.
25.
Okay. 25. Okay, you hit the nail on the head. 25 is how much he's getting paid. And to me, a guy who never plays for the club, who's in the academy the whole time.
He's abroad, isn't he?
Okay, what
now
about
he's somewhere?
You know, the only thing that we've done right is our backup goalkeeper is getting paid $20K a week. That's the only thing we've done right. How much do you think? What do you call it? Ceballos is getting on loan with us right now, getting paid.
Probably a lot. 120.
We're paying.
He's on 50.
He's on 51 and a half a week.
Is he?
Yeah. Gunduzi, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, they're both upward of 35K.
That's about right.
And then the one that makes me laugh the most, the Mustafi. How much do you guys think he's making?
I saw that. I know it's about 90 or something, isn't he?
90K. Now, if I compare this to
the biggest players in the Premier League, I don't think it's Man City, in fairness to them.
Honestly, man, Man City are have a big pay scale, but when it comes to paying the most ridiculous wages, it's still Manchester United guys.
Yeah, I think you're right.
United, they still pay the most wages. They still have Alexis Sanchez, who they're paying almost 500K a week, bro. Don't forget that. With bonuses, he's almost getting paid 500K.
Yeah.
But we have not. The club has a history of doing something where they used to limit Arsene Wenger's transfer budget to 30K per player, 35K per player. Do you think we need to have to bend that away and have a transfer budget where if we're going to buy somebody who's experienced, we should spend the right money? It doesn't matter how much it is. Or do you guys still think we should have a budget on how much we spend on players?
We haven't got a budget. How can you say we've got a budget? We paid 72 for Pepe.
No, what I'm saying is, Melvin, we used to have a budget as a club where we wouldn't pay for the top players. So if they told us, oh, this player, do you want to buy him? Like Payet, we would have bought Payet. But Payet, they were telling us, oh, you have to pay over 80 million, not 80 million, over 50 million at the time. And we weren't willing to pay 50 million for Payet.
I don't think we were ever going to know what the budget is, because
that's right.
We saw last summer with all those transfers. We never thought we would get those players in or spend that money. But some of that money is budgeted for in years to come. So it's not a dedicated, it's not like, well, there you go, you got 150 million to spend in this transfer window, because it just doesn't work like that anymore. But ultimately, I agree with what Stephen's just said there. You need to get the wage bill down. And I've said it before, for fear of repeating yourself, but what is happening at the moment is going to start driving wages down, I think. So I think external forces are going to have a massive impact on football here.
Okay, so I'm going to leave it here. Before we finish, I'm going to want everyone to say their final thoughts. You guys, so I'm going to start with you, Melvin. What's your final thoughts on what we were talking about? Are Arsenal still the bigger club? Is Tottenham still in our shadows, or have Tottenham caught up to us as stature of a club?
They're not in our shadow as such, I don't think, because they're ahead of us in the league the last 3 years. No, they're not in their shadow. As a club, I think they're in their shadow, but not as a football team. If that makes sense. Okay,
you, Sam?
Yeah, I mean, Spurs as a club, they're always, going to be much smaller than us. They're going to be in our shadow until they start winning things, which doesn't look like it's going to happen in the foreseeable future. Yeah, arguably, they've got the better team on paper as it is now. They've been performing slightly better than us the last few seasons. But I think that's going to change in the next few seasons now. I think we're going to have an upwards trajectory. They're going to have a downwards trajectory. And yeah, I mean, really, there's not really much comparison between the two clubs. You look at what we've won, we've been a much bigger club. I mean, like I said, it's a statement of power and status when you can just take their captain and say, we'll have you. And yeah, we're going to win the league with him. at your stadium, straight afterwards. There really isn't much comparison, but Arsenal's a funny old club, really, the way it's run. I mean, they've run it very well. They think is very sensibly for many years. I find it fascinating how we can pay mediocre players such huge wages, and then we go out and we can't spend the extra £5 to get in. Someone like Xabi Alonso. Apparently, we haggled for like $5 million, and we wouldn't give Liverpool the extra $5 million for Xabi Alonso, which would have completely transformed our midfield with Fabregas. Things like that. There's just so many strange things we've done. But yeah, when it comes to Spurs versus Arsenal, yeah, Spurs not really can be mentioned. We can't really mention them in the same breath as us, really, to be honest, as a club. Lately as a team, okay, they're doing well. And the reason really, it's the rivalry, isn't it? It's that North London rivalry just 4 miles down the road. They've always been in the same division as us since the early 20s. So, yeah, it's all that history, isn't it? All the history, the big games. And they've also had a lot of good players as well, haven't they? I mean, you've got to hand it to them. They've had some exciting teams, like Hoddle, Gaza, Klinsmann. I remember Klinsmann. I loved watching him. I mean, I hate to say it, but he was a good player to watch. They've got some decent players now, haven't they? With Son and Kane and some of those guys. So, but the thing is, you've got to win things. You're going to be a big club. You've got to win things. They didn't manage to do that, did they? They choked when it counted, and that's the difference, isn't it? So yeah, that's that really. Okay,
Simon, I'll let you go.
Well, I mean, in the 45 years I've been watching football, Spurs have had some fantastic teams and fantastic players, but the one statistic that you're going to go back to since I've been watching is they really haven't won that much in that time. In my lifetime, they've never won the league. 61 was the last time they won it. They've not really threatened in that time as well. They've had some good sides, certainly in the last 10 years when they had Bale was there playing, on fire one season. But my own personal view is I think Spurs have probably hit the peak in their current team. And I think they're going to plateau out and come down a little bit because I think the money is going to get to them. Arsenal have been in a bit of a rut for, let's say, 10 years now. We all hope that they're going to come out of that rut and sort of start moving forward. So it's a big ask against some of the teams that are in the Premier League. If I'm pinned down, though, as I say, you put the statistics up earlier, I always think Arsenal are going to be a bigger club than Tottenham. I'm sure if there were four Spurs fans sat on an alternative podcast, they'd say the opposite. But as I say, you can only go on victories and things like that. And Arsenal we've got the T-shirt, we've got the trophies in the bank. So to me, it's the bigger side.
Where's he gone?
I grabbed my cup of water because I wanted to take a toast to everybody. I don't drink alcohol, so I'm going to toast to you guys. Hopefully, Arsenal keep on building. We end up getting bigger than every other club in the whole Premier League. We end up winning the Champions League before them, and we take over. We take over North London like we always do. We take back London from Chelsea. We take back England from those Northerners upstairs that are annoying, and then we take on and we keep kicking on. Because honestly, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired of this club, and we need to go back in this time off and look at how the club was back in the 2000s and watch them. And remember, we were always amazing to watch. Don't let the past couple of years annoy you and ruin your eyesight. Because if you go back and just watch what was going on even 5 years ago, you're gonna enjoy it. So hey, I don't drink alcohol, but here's a toast to everybody out there for watching. I appreciate you guys, and hopefully Arsenal will get back to what they deserve soon.
Keep the faith.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And we're out here, guys. I'm gonna finish you guys off with something funny. I just want to show you guys this again. Remember, Tottenham Hotspur toilet paper on it used to be $5.99, but now since this whole coronavirus, you can get it for $2.99, half off. So yeah, enjoy, guys. We're out. Cheers.
See you later, guys.